Coming up, a review of the book Waiting for Shiva, Unearthing the Truth of Kashi's Gyan Vapi, written by Dr. Vikram Sampath. Namaste friends, my name is Shil Subramanian Paimal and you are listening to the Histology podcast. Before I proceed, a full disclosure. This book was bought with my own money and not been provided to me by the author or publisher. Little bit about the author. Dr. Vikram Sampath is a historian based in Bangalore. He is the author of 8 acclaimed books including Splendors of Royal Mysore, The Untold Story of the Wadayars, Voice of the Veena, S. Balachandar, Women of the Records, and Indian Classical Music and the Gramophone, 1900 to 1930. His 2-volume biography of V.D. Savarkar Echoes from a Forgotten Past, 1881 to 1924, and Savarkar, A Contested Legacy, 1924 to 1966, and his latest book, Brevets of Bharat, Vignettes from Indian History, has gone on to become national bestsellers. In 2021, Vikram was selected a Fellow of the prestigious Royal Historical Society. He was awarded the Sahitya Academy's first Yuva Puraskar in English Literature and the ARSC International Award for Excellence in Historical Research in New York for his book, My Name is Gohar Jan, The Life and Times of a Musician. The book has been adapted for a play, Gohar, by Lilith Dubey. He was among 4 writers and artists selected as writers in residence at the Rashtrapati Bhavan in 2015. Vikram has a doctorate in history and music from the University of Queensland, Australia, and was a senior research fellow at the Nehru Memorial Museum and Library, New Delhi, from 2017 to 2019. He was also a fellow of the Aspen Global Leadership Network and Eisenhower's Fellowships 2020, and a visiting fellow at the Wissenschaftskolleg zu Berlin in 2010. Currently, he is an adjunct senior fellow at Monash University, Australia. He has an engineering and mathematics degree from BITS Pilani and an MBA in finance from SP Jain Institute of Management Research, Mumbai. Vikram is a trained Carnatic vocalist. He established the foundation of Indian historical and cultural research to promote original, primary source-based research on Indian history. The Archive of Indian Music, India's first digital sound archive for vintage recording, was also founded by him. He is the founder-director of the Bangalore Literature Festival and curates Z Group's cultural fest, Earth. Let me read what is written on the inside flap of the cover of the book. Quote, few places in the world carry the heavy burden of history as effortlessly as Kashi or Varanasi has. The holy city embodies the very soul of our civilization and personifies the resilience that we have displayed over centuries in the face of numerous adversities and fatal attacks. Waiting for Shiva, Unearthing the Truth of Kashi's Gyan Vapi recreates the history, antiquity and sanctity of Kashi as the abode of Bhagwan Shiv in the form of Vishweshwara or Vishwanath. Shiva himself assured his devotees of salvation if they leave their mortal coils in the city. The book delves into the history of this self-manifested Swayambhu Jyotirling shrine of Vishweshwara, which for centuries has been both a refuge for the devout and a target of the bloodiest waves of iconoclasm. However, each time an attempt was made to obliterate the temple by demolishing it, it managed to rise and prosper. Every iconoclastic storm was followed by an episode of persistence, tenacity and stubborn resolve. Shrines fell and shrines rose, but the Hindus of Kashi never gave up, not even once. Waiting for Shiva documents these cataclysmic events in the temple's history. The final death blow was dealt in 1669 by the Mughal despot Aurangzeb, who demolished the temple and erected a few domes on the partially destroyed western wall to call it a mosque. The temple complex was desecrated and left strewn with ruins as a grim reminder of the humiliation and insult that Hindus had to face as a consequence of their holy shrine being stoned down to smithereens. The area that is now called the Gyan Vapi Mosque and the surrounding land that lies adjacent to the new temple of Vishwanath, which came up towards the end of the 18th century, had always been of intense contestation. Bloody riots overran Varanasi over this issue multiple times in the past. During the colonial era, the doors of the British courts were knocked at to settle the occupancy issue, and they adjudicated the matter several times. Post-independence, too, the desire to liberate the complex has been seething in the Hindu imagination. A new suit filed in 2021 before the Varanasi Civil Court reopened a long-festering historical wound. Despite several appeals right up to the Supreme Court to dismiss the plaint, a survey by the Archaeological Survey of India was ordered which would lay bare the truth in January 2024. Vikram Sampath's latest offering retraces the long history of this bitterly disputed site and the dramatic twists and turns in the checkered past of this hoary shrine. Piecing together numerous documents and accounts, Vedic and Puranic texts, Sanskrit literature sources, Agama shastras, Jataka tales, Persian accounts, travelogues of foreigners, archival records and copious legal documents detailing the contestation from the British era to modern Indian courts, the book recreates, for the first time with facts and cogent arguments, this stormy history right up to the present times. The long suppressed secrets that lay hidden in Gyan Vapi finally finds a voice through this book. Unquote. Some of the things in this book I found interesting. First, the author states on page 2, quote, a Hindu's expression of their faith, especially after independence, had to be muted, toned down, almost invisible, and one that did not get into the crosshairs or eyesight of the dominant minorities. Unquote. I totally agree with this. In no other country are the so-called minorities pampered as much they are in India. Second, throughout the book, there are quotes by Matthew Atmore Shering, a British Protestant missionary and Indologist who spent several years here in India in the mid-19th century. There is one on page 73 where Shering poignantly and prophetically concludes, quote, if there is one circumstance respecting the Muhammadan period which Hindus remember better than another, it is the insulting pride of the Muslims, the outrages which they perpetrated upon their religious convictions and the extensive spoliation of their temples and shrines. It is right that Europeans should clearly understand that this spirit of Mohammedanism is unchangeable, and that if by any mischance India should again come into the position of men of this creed, all the churches and colleges and all the mission institutions would not be worth a week's purchase. Unquote. Third, the esoteric meaning of the Shivlinga is very well explained. How the worship of the Linga also symbolizes the dual nature of masculinity and femininity. Fourth, to prevent mishaps from occurring in the future, especially since the Vishwanath temple and the Kapal Mochan were so close to the Gyan Vapi mosque, Magistrate Watson suggested that the Muslims be restricted to the mosque and the terrace, while the Hindus be given exclusive access to the sacred walk around the mosque and the Gyan Vapi well. At the Kapal Mochan, he recommended that the Muslims be kept out of the place. Detailing his arguments, Mr. Watson wrote, quote, the reputed sanctity of the spot in the eyes of the Hindus would not be lost by its exclusive appropriation to Muslim devotion, while everlasting rancor of the Hindu would be kept alive by a sense of profanation to which their holy place was exposed, and a regret at being denied access to it. With the Muslims, on the contrary, no particular sanctity is attached to the spot. An Idgah in any other situation would be equally an object of resort, and it is only held by Muslims in peculiar estimation here, as it marks the former ascendancy of one religion over the other. When all collision of the two sects is obviated at the Bisweshwar Mosque and Kapal Mochan by the seclusion of the Muslims and one and their exclusion from the other, I anticipate no ground of dispute from the Muslims retaining entire position of the minaret mosque called by the Hindus Beni Madhav and of that at Sheikh Khatun Ali's, that is Kritiveseshwar. The Hindus have long since appropriated another temple to the idol to which the former place was originally dedicated, and the foundation at the latter, which the Hindus esteem sacred, is an object of devotion to them only one day in the year. Unquote. Fifth, as per Hindu law, the property once vested in the deity shall continue to be the deity's property, and its destruction cannot change the nature of the property itself. Once a temple, always a temple. The book has 7 major chapters covering the history of the city of Kashi and ending with a legal fight revolving around the Kashi Vishwanath temple, and is just under 225 pages of actual reading. It has an appendix which is almost 100 pages. It has selected excerpts from the report of the Archaeological Survey of India, and they have been presented as is. It has site plans of the disputed structure and exclusive photographs of the same, followed by 20 pages of notes and 6 pages of bibliography. The book also has 16 color pages showing the ruins of the western wall of the Gyan Vapi mosque, Kashi Vishwanath Mandir, the Ganga Ghats, and other nearby religious places of worship. It's pretty obvious that the book was hurriedly put together with a very tight deadline, but it still manages to explain the Gyan Vapi issue with all aspects covered very well. I highly recommend this book and give it a rating of 4.75 out of 5. The printed price of the book is Rs 699, but is available for around 450 on Amazon India and for 550 on Flipkart. At the time of recording this podcast, the book is not available on Amazon USA. Also, the book is currently available only in hardcover format and not on Kindle or Audible. I have given the respective buy links in the show notes. Please check them out for the latest prices. Last but not the least, thank you for spending a valuable time listening to this book review. Really grateful. Please don't forget to subscribe to the Histology podcast on your favorite podcasting app, and also feel free to leave a review. Also, please check histology.com for all previous episodes. Thanks and looking forward to hearing from you. Take care and bye.